Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward.
Hey guys, ALTCOINS Sherpa here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I'm not an expert, to your own research. Okay, so today, actually, this is not going to be, I changed my mind. This isn't going to be a crypto market review. This is going to be an educational video on the overall timing of macro bottoms for altcoins. Now, obviously, we know the altcoin market is in the shitter right now, and we're all waiting for a macro bottom. So this video is really going to be discussing kind of the timeline that it takes for altcoins overall. Now, similar to Bitcoin, altcoins, they take a long time to overall find a bottom and consolidate. And although they don't take as much time as Bitcoin does, they still usually need quite a long time to reset. So let's go ahead and take a look at some examples. This is Solana. Solana had a big run in the early parts of 2020, and in the fall of 2020, it really started to drop quite a bit. And I'll also tell you too that this is mainly going to be with regards to the alt USD pairs. The alt BTC pairs generally have different types of bottoms that form. You'll see V-shaped bottoms and stuff, and they won't need as much time to usually accumulate for the alt BTC pairs. You'll usually just see like the moon or doom, nothing really in between. Here you can see Solana in the fall of 2020, obviously just nothing but down. And it's important to see the overall date timeline for how long it took this bottom to form. So you have this kind of big bottom, or this big kind of green candle on November 7th here. Some decent volume follow-up at that point, and price makes a kind of lower high in late November and then comes back down to the lows. This is kind of like a double bottom, however you want to characterize it. But overall, it took this bottom about 2 months to form. And, you know, the true breakout really starts when you start to see this insane volume come through in early January. This is when it's really time to pay attention. And a little side note too, many old traders from 2019 and 2018, when they were trading in 2020, they had some bear market PTSD where they were afraid to buy these like 50% rips. But ever since 2021 and really a lot of parts of 2020, it's been very profitable to buy these 20 or these 50 to 100% rips and buying any dip because there's a lot more follow up, and these are the coins that are really having the narratives and that's what you really saw back in the later parts of 2021. Anyways, that's a little bit off topic. What I'm trying to say is this took about 2 months to form its bottom, and you can see this kind of double bottom structure for this one. Once again, Solana went from $2 to 20, and then what happened after that? It once again had a 30-month consolidation period. Now, every consolidation period and every bottom is going to look different, and it's also going to depend on the context as well. So this is in a massively bullish market structure, all-time high levels at this point. Little funny story, I also dumped all my Solana at like $2 because I thought there was a investor unlock, and I dumped all my Solana at $2. It wasn't a huge amount of money, like mid 5 figures, but you know, that would have been a lot more, obviously, if I held it. So this is, again, big bullish market structure, and this consolidated for about 30 days, 1 month, and then it continued higher. Obviously, what happened after it had a big blow off top up to 60, it had the big May shakeout, which we all remember in 2021. And then once again, it found a bottom that took several months. You can use this high around here on May 20th that kind of set the high, and you can see it tapping this area several times around that area. And obviously no breaks through, and this consolidated for several months. And then obviously we all know what happens next. Big move up. Once again, big blow up top off to $215, and then another month-long consolidation before one final blow off top, and now big retrace period. So what am I trying to say here? This market structure is different right here than previous market structures. This market structure probably is more similar to this this May shakeout, or even the very first market structure that we saw back in September of 2020, where price was just grinding all the way back down. And this is what I'm really expecting. I'm expecting it to find some sort of bottom, some sort of volume follow up, lower a high, and then a price to come back down to that level again, followed by just like, overall chop grind period, and then we'll see a full recovery. Now, I don't know how long this is going to take. I don't know what it's going to look like. I think it's highly unlikely this is the bottom here. There are some arguments for it in the sense that a lot of liquidity was collected on the way down. But generally speaking, I think that this still needs some sort of reset period. So it would make a lot more sense to me if this gets up to like 150 or something, and then like double bottoms, and then, chops around for several months. And this would make a lot more sense to me. And we see some sort of maybe like late Q2, early Q3 recovery period. Let's take a look at some other charts here. And, recovery periods are going to look different for every coin. So for something like DOT, it didn't have that double bottom that Solana had. It had more of like an accumulation type of pattern where you see this basically chop within a range for about I think a few months here. So yeah, even longer. So this is like 120 days, so quite some time, September all the way to the end of December. And this was basically an accumulation period. If you bought it back in September around $5 and you waited all the way to the end of December, it's still at $5, and that's obviously an eternity in crypto. And I also want to have a disclaimer too that even though these macro bottoms take a really long time to form, that doesn't mean that there's not actionable trades that you can take. It, of course, depends on your style, depends on your investment strategy, depends on your timeline. But for me personally, I usually just like to dollar cost average in and then like scalp on the days that look decent to me. But it's very choppy for the early stages of the range. So like the early stages of the range. So for instance, in September of 2020, this would be a very volatile time, and then it becomes a little bit more stable later on. But this is a good example of this taking a long time overall to chop around and range. Once again, back we saw this big market nuke, and every nuke is going to look different. Every downtrend is going to look different. Every bear market and bull market is going to look different. But we saw this big May shakeout. This was much more of a violent kill somebody in one go type of shakeout versus like a slow grind down, which is what we've seen. So, for instance, in May we saw something like this where it grows up and then boom, just like goes down like 70%. And then chops around and recovers. What we've seen recently in November, December is like, a very much standard type of bear market, what we're used to in like 2019, 2018, where we just see lower highs, lower lows. You can see the slow grind down relative to what we saw back in May, where we're just like massive liquidation event. People get slaughtered really quick versus this is just like a slow grind down. And there's not really much of a big shakeout. Regardless, you can still see back in May that this one had a several month long recovery. Several months, depending on what you define as this range. Like to me, like it's a break of this $28, $29 area. This would be like kind of like my this would be my area to look at personally, but this is this took quite some time. So let's look at some older coins like THETA. THETA has a long history. It's so funny to look at these old charts too. And it's also important to understand too that the charts today look much different than the charts back in 2019 for several reasons. 2018, 2019, those charts were really ugly because it was a macro bear market for altcoins. Bitcoin dominance was rising very, very hard during those times, and altcoins were just in a very, very nasty bear market. And it basically it wasn't really a true bull market for many of these until after this big liquidation event in March of 2020. We all remember that. Well, again, actually, maybe we don't, but people who were around remembers this. Obviously, this day, like it's a day we'll probably never forget for a while. But this was kind of the start of the bull market, in my opinion, and this is really the time when altcoins really started to have a bullish market structure. So again, Theta, it went from 5 cents all the way up, big blow off top, to 60 cents. And again, had a rounded kind of bottom that took several months. Big move up again, all the way from 24 cents all the way up to 80. What happened at this point? Another consolidation period, 76 days or so, I don't know, give or take. And this is very similar to what we saw back in DOT. You know, DOT was like just a kind of a choppy consolidation, right? It's like it's a consolidation bit. It was much more like this. And once again, had one more accumulation period here in January of 2021. Another month. And then we saw this is like key distribution, obviously. Like this does not look, this is like goes from $15 all the way back down to 3. And this chart really looks very similar to like the Bitcoin chart back in 2018, to be frank and honest with you. I mean, this is like the 6K level, this 380 level is like a 6K level, which is like bounce, 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 and then it just nukes below. But anyways, what I'm trying to say here for Theta is that, as you can see on the way up, we saw like lots and lots of consolidation periods where it lasted anywhere from like 1 to like 3 or 4 months. And now we're finally seeing like distribution and this like basically cooling off hugely. I mean, there's what you'll need to see at this point, in my opinion, is you'll need to see really looking back at some of these old charts. I don't expect something like March 2020 to come back up, you know, where we see like massive liquidation like that and lots of liquidity collected. I don't expect to see something like that, but I would not be surprised at all to see something like just similar to what Bitcoin did in 2018, 2019 at the bottom, where we just see like a longer accumulation period. And what we've seen with other altcoins is like they can still chop for quite some time and they'll need a reset period. But when you see charts like this, they actually generally don't need as much time to chop around, just because they've had such long grinds down that most of the sellers are already gone. Like imagine if you bought Theta at like $10. You're probably just like gonna cut your loss at some point. You're just gonna say, fuck it, like I've lost so much money, I don't give a fuck anymore, right? So you'll probably get chopped up somewhere along here. I don't know where, but yeah. I think those are the only charts that I wanted to look at. MATIC was different because this one had like several rug pulls in it. Yeah, we can just look at it anyway. For those of you who don't know, MATIC, before it was an awesome coin, had these massive rug pulls. If you look, it's even worse on the Bitcoin chart, the MATIC BTC chart. They were actually quite funny. I was in this too, but then I got out like before. Thank God, and got out somewhere else. But MATIC is different because it had like these rug pull events. But just goes to show that coins, even very strong coins, can have these fuck ups and still recover. But it's good to see that MATIC really had this long period where it chopped around for quite some time, and overall it didn't move, and this is obviously after the March 2020 event. But because investors were so scared about some of these previous rug pulls, they were a little bit scared of MATIC. But once it started to hit its big bull run, it still had several periods of accumulation. So this was a 44-day one, and obviously it had a big blow off top. And then it had another several month kind of period where it just chopped around. So as I said, what I'm trying to say here as a summary of this entire video is that altcoins really take a long time to reset, and every single bottom looks different, but they do generally, they will take time to reset. I think that expecting some sort of immediate reversal is a little bit quick, and it's not probably not going to happen. I think that there's more pain to come personally. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see altcoins kind of chop around and continue to just do their thing for another several weeks or months. Who knows? This is probably a good time just to chill out and it depends on your trading style, as I said, to DCA in and just be patient with the projects that you like. So thank you very much for watching, and let me know if you guys have any questions.